Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 9 of the Deu Awuok Show, where it is my job to interview professional and collegiate soccer players about their life journeys around the beautiful game. On this episode, I speak with Marcy Barberic, a former player at the University at Buffalo, and KR Reykjavik, a professional team in Iceland. Amongst other things, we talk about her experience starting varsity as an eighth grader, being named an All American, the first in UB's program history, and playing professionally in Iceland. I hope you enjoy this super engaging and insightful episode. Marcy, welcome to the pod. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know how busy you are, and so I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come talk to me today. Why don't we start with a little introduction? Tell us your full name, where you're from, and an interesting fact about you.
Yeah, so my name is Marcy Barberic. I am from Grand Island, New York, and an interesting fact about me, I'm a big Dave Matthews fan.
Nice. At what age did you start playing soccer, and who got you involved with the sport?
I started when I was about 4 or 5 years old with just playing, like, little Timbit soccer, and, honestly, my parents just, like, signed me up. My dad played soccer. We're a Croatian family, so soccer is one of the main sports that my dad would have wanted me to play, so, yeah, they just signed me up, and I loved it. I never played any other sport.
Nice. I'm really happy to hear that. And I think during the later years of your youth career, you started playing for the Flash Academy, one of
Mhm.
the top teams in Western New York. Talk to us about how the opportunity came about and your experience there in terms of developing and getting you to the next level.
Yeah, it's actually kinda crazy thinking back on it because obviously now Flash Academy is a huge club, has, like, 80 teams, 3 teams per age group. It's wild, and it's great to have that in Buffalo, but that wasn't how it was when I was younger. So Flash, my I originally started playing for Empire when I was about 11, 12 years old, and then from there, I started playing for this club called BSA, Buffalo Soccer Academy, which is no longer a club. But we had a great team, like, super successful, winning all these games, just this random team from Buffalo. We had my team and then the boys' team in my age group, and then my junior year of high school is when Flash Academy kinda wanted to start. So what we did was my whole team from BSA went over to Flash Academy, same with my coach from BSA, and we just kinda, like, moved into Flash Academy, and back then, when we first started with Flash Academy, it was just a small club. There was my team, a team older than me, and a team younger than me, and then just ever since that year, they've just grown every year, so it is nothing like it was when I was, starting with them, but it was a great opportunity because we got that national recognition playing in the ECNL and
Hmm.
getting that college exposure, so, yeah, it was good to kind of have that step up and be in a bigger club than BSA was, but my whole team, we loved the transition there, so it was good.
Nice. That sounds like a great experience. And I guess the beauty of that was that you not only played at a high level, at a club level,
Mhm,
but also you were able to play high school, right? Because sometimes some of these academies require that the players only play for the academy and they can't play for a high school
mhm.
team, which I think is a big loss for a lot of players and one of the sacrifices you have to make. You had an unbelievable career at your high school team, Grand Island, where you were a 5-year starter and went on to win a number of different awards. I guess looking
Mhm.
back to your first season with them, what was the process like in terms of trying out and your thoughts and emotions as you not only made the varsity but were starting as an eighth grader?
Yeah, I like how you said about how some academies don't allow players to do high school or do other things like that, and I think that is a huge loss because high school soccer is so much fun, like, that's what it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's super competitive, but it's also for those players that play all year round, like, it's almost a breath of fresh air just having fun playing with your friends from school.
Hmm.
So that was a big reason why I wanted to play varsity the earliest chance I could. So when I was in 8th grade, I had also a friend that made the team in 8th grade, so we kinda did it together, and it
Hmm.
was really cool being able to play against the better players and the older players to just get that experience, like, you always wanna surround yourself with better players so you can become better, and that was my mindset going into it, and at first, like, I'm still in middle school in 8th grade, my parents, they were like, "Oh, we don't want you playing against them, you're gonna, like, get hurt, they're so much bigger than you," but I eventually convinced my mom to let me play on varsity, so I'm glad she did, and then, yeah, we had it was just so much fun playing all those 5 years, and it was just so many, like, opportunities to create memories with my friends from school, and then using that as, like, a confidence builder going into, like, my winter season with my club team too.
Nice. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's funny you mentioned that because I was going to ask that because I would think, most parents, at that age where eighth grader, you're playing with seniors. It's a big gap in terms of development.
Yeah.
But I'm happy it worked out for you. You went on to have an amazing, high school career, winning a number of awards. But your senior season was probably the best one, right? You led the team to a 19-1-1 record, only losing one game and winning sectionals, winning the league, and winning regionals. And you score 27 goals and had 32 assists, which is just bonkers because I think, at the high school level, if you're a good player, you're scoring like 10, 12 a season. If you're a very good player, you're scoring like 20. But to have 27 in one season is almost unheard of. So, I mean, to give you some context, I think I was a starter 4 years, but I scored 30 in all 4 years. He had about the same numbers in one season. Talk to us about that experience and what it meant for you, right, to win so many awards and also be able to win everything with your team.
Yeah, it was just really fun to play, so I think that I mean, in the moment, those things can be very competitive. Looking back on it, it was just more of like a fun experience for me. But yeah, that last year, like I said before, I had a friend in 8th grade, we both made the team for varsity, so we were so good together. Like, I
Hmm.
was the midfielder, she was a forward, and we just worked so well together. We just created a lot of success. And honestly, like, with high school soccer, it gets kind of tough because we didn't play against strong teams every game. So there were games multiple times per season where we're winning by 8 goals and you can stack up the points there. So again, that's a confidence booster for us at the time, but it's it it's tough because the our league wasn't that strong, and then we started to play against the stronger teams once we got to playoffs and sectionals and stuff like that. So I had a lot of points, but I honestly should have been taken off the field earlier and given the other players a chance to score too.
No, I think you're being humble there because sometimes I also went to a smaller school, and so like you, there were teams you were playing, you guys were just so much better. But sometimes there's a there's a tendency to like play down to that level, and so for you to like
Mm.
keep the a high standard, to you to put in the goals when maybe the opposition wasn't as good, it's I guess a compliment to you and to your mindset. Um, when did you start recruiting for college soccer?
So that process has also changed a lot since since I went through it, but the recruiting process started for me around freshman year of high school. And there were people on my team at BSA at the time that were committing freshman year and the beginning of sophomore year. I started to narrow down my options more towards sophomore year. Freshman year, I didn't really know what I was doing. My
Hmm.
parents didn't really know. We were just kind of doing what everyone else was doing, trying to get coaches to come to our games, sending them our tournament schedules and everything like that, and hope they show up. But I started going on more visits my sophomore year, and then I was able to compare some schools and go on ID camps freshman and sophomore year, trying to see what I liked, what I didn't like. It was a tough process. Like I said, like we didn't really know what we were doing. We were just kind
Hmm.
of doing what everyone else was doing. So yeah, honestly, like my whole team started to commit freshman, sophomore, beginning of junior year, and then I eventually made my verbal commitment to UB at the end of my sophomore year of high school.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's it's quite early, but kudos to you.
Hmm.
You to get that out of the way and then just focus on having fun the rest of the high school career.
Hmm.
Talk to us about your decision to commit to UB and why you chose them over some of the schools you're also looking at.
Yeah, so when I first started the recruiting process, I wasn't interested in staying in the Buffalo area. I kind of wanted to go away from home a little bit, not too
Yeah.
far. So I was looking at a lot of schools in like Philly area within that like 6, 8 hour range around Buffalo. But um, my mom kind of convinced me, hey, like let's just go look at UB.
Hmm.
It's just going to be something you can compare it to. Like even if you don't like it, you can rule it out, but don't rule it out yet. So
Yep.
I eventually went on a visit there and fell in love with it. It was just like, I knew right away, "Okay, I wanna go here. This is definitely a place I wanna be." Love the coaching staff, love the players, love the culture of the program, so yeah, that's kinda what sold it for me, and after I visited it, I was like, "Okay, if I live on campus, like, I'm it's only 15 minutes away from where I grew up, but if I'm not living at home, then I'll still have that college experience and stuff." So, it was good, it was a really good decision, and I will never regret that decision.
Nice. I'm glad to hear. I had Nick Zappo, who you know from your days at Grand
Mhm.
Island. I had him on, and he had a similar experience where he was looking to get out of Buffalo, but it just ended up working that he went to Canisius and stayed local
Yeah.
as well. Um, so committed to UB. Your first year, you were starting as a freshman. You started all the games, and from the outside, it looked like you had a pretty easy transition. Right, a lot of players making that jump from high school and club to the D1 level have they do so, myself included. Right, the pace of the game, the physicality, the decision making, all of those factors make it harder to adjust. Um, what was your adjustment like, and what do you think helped you have that such a seamless transition?
Yeah, so right in the beginning, when I first started preseason, it wasn't a very seamless transition, but after after about, I don't know, a week or so of settling in, I think I really just found my place there, and honestly, it really helped being local because my parents were able to come to the games. I was able to see my family members and my friends and everything like that. So it wasn't as big of a transition, like in a life sense for me. Soccer wise, though, it was because it's just a higher level that I didn't, I wasn't didn't have that experience before. So going into that, it was a lot of adjusting that I played a new position I've never played before my freshman year. I grew up playing midfield and attacking midfield and forward, outside forward, and all of a sudden I'm playing outside back. And I'm like, I've never played defense before, but I think the biggest thing for that is just being willing to learn. So I was very eager to learn. I knew I was going to be in a new position and I knew I was going to be like someone that my coaches needed to count on the field. So I just had to create that coach player relationship where I could always go to them if I had questions about anything, if I wanted to do extra video. So they were willing to help, I was willing to learn, so that made the transition my freshman year just much smoother.
No, that's a very good point.
Mhm.
And it shows a lot of maturity from your end because a lot of times young players go into a new environment, they use a position, and if they're told they're playing out of position, the first reaction is to be upset about it, like why am I doing this? But to have that level of maturity to say, hey, I'm gonna learn this new role and play to my ability. I think it's the right approach, and it worked out for you. When did you get moved up to your natural position? Was that the next season?
Yeah, so my sophomore year, the reason that I was kind of put on defense my freshman year was because the players that were in my desired position on more of the attack were just upperclassmen. They were there, they had the experience, they were better than me at that point. So my sophomore year when, one of the attacking midfielders had graduated, I was eventually moved up there, so I started playing attacking mid my sophomore year and then also forward, so I was able to kinda put the ball in the back of the net a little bit more there and create opportunities on goal, which I was happy about, but yeah, like, having the experience at playing defense in an outside back role, it did, like, allow me to grow as a player more because it gave me the experience from a different viewpoint on the field. So now when I was moving into the attacking role my second year, I was able to kind of take what I learned from playing on the defensive role and then use it up top there. So it was good.
Nice. Yeah, and to be starting as a freshman in a different position is crazy, and to be able to start all the games. So kudos to you there. And in your first season playing your position, you did well. You had 7 goals and 7 assists, which was quite impressive. What did the offseason look like for you in terms of prepping for the fall?
So after my sophomore year, after my second year there, I started to train more in the off season. I started training with Jason Collinsworth and just getting a lot of reps on goal, and that definitely helped me going into the next season. And it was good to get that type of training in the off season because I never really got, like, that one-on-one or really small group training in the winter before, so just getting that those extra reps to goal just made me more comfortable going into, like, back into team training for college, so that's kinda what I did, and like, I know a lot of people, like, have a or go to, like, a trainer at a gym or
Hmm.
have something like that. I just kinda did that stuff on my own. I like doing it on my own better, and then, just, like, learning about the best ways to go about training in the gym to be better on the field is kinda what I took interest in, so, yeah, I just did that stuff on my own, and then, yeah, just with Jason on the side, so it's good.
Nice. The following season, you had even better season. You led the team in goals, mid conference second team, third team all region. Really great season for you. But then a couple months later, COVID hit and everything shut down. What was that experience like for you and the rest of your team looking back on COVID?
Yeah, obviously that was like a really hard situation for everybody, especially college athletes, because you're so used to going and going and going. You have this and this and this, and then all of a sudden you have nothing and you can't leave your house and you can't do anything. And then, eventually when we were able to start training again and come back to campus, it was you can only train with a small group or you have to do it on your own or whatever. So in the beginning, it was a hard adjustment, but I think in the end it made our team closer because we had the quarantine rules. We couldn't really see any outside teams or outside friends and family, so we just had each other, and that was a big part of how we became closer that year. So it was a blessing in disguise.
Um, and then, the following season, you became the first player in UB's history to make the All American team. What was the experience like for you, your family, and the rest of the UB program?
Yeah, so that was awesome. It was really great to earn that award there. Never really thought that I could accomplish that. So when I heard the news, I was very proud of myself. But I think what changed for me that year, like during COVID, our season was canceled. We didn't know when our next game was going to be, and that was very hard, like mentally. But once we found out, like, okay, our season's rescheduled to the spring, like, we have this many days until we get to play again,
Hmm.
and it just really put into perspective, like, what a privilege it is to be able to play college soccer and be able to, have good coaches and have a good team and be in that environment, and it's just very rewarding. So, again, that experience with COVID was a blessing in disguise because I think I was able to step back and really realize how amazing this opportunity is for me. So, I think my mindset changed a little bit where before I don't wanna say I was taking it for granted, but I definitely didn't take advantage of every single opportunity to get better until I was able to step back and look at it from an outside perspective. So, my off-season training going into that season was just completely amplified. I was gonna be the best, I had to be the best. I needed to work hard every single second and get there. So because I was so excited to play a soccer game again. So that was kind of my mindset going into it, and I think that was the big change for me because before, like, yes, I worked hard, but it wasn't like a, "I need this," whereas in that season where I did get the All-American award, like, I needed to score a goal every game, and that was a non-negotiable for me, and I did it, so it worked out.
Wow, that's incredible. Sometimes you need the external event to happen to put things in perspective. But it looked like you took advantage of the situation and it paid off for you. So kudos there. The following season, your last season at UB, right? Because of COVID, NCAA gave players the extra year
Mhm.
that was missed. You decided to take them up on the opportunity and play. In my opinion, you had an even better season than the next season, right? You led the team and the league in goals, goals per game, shots per game, shots on target per game. You led in PKs. You made the conference and all region first teams. Talked, and I think in an amazing way to finish your soccer career at UB. Uh, Talk to us about that season and in the context of your overall career.
Yeah, it's again, I love looking back on it because I had such an amazing experience at UB, and that last year, like, I think I had before the mindset of I need this award, I need this award, I need to do this, I need to do that. Whereas in that last season, when it was going to be my last one, and I knew that was going to be the conclusion of my college soccer career, I just played with the utmost amounts of gratitude, and my main goal was to be a good teammate. So I think I was a little less selfish that season, but it allowed me to to enjoy the game more rather than be really hard on myself and hard on my teammates, and that was a big reason why that was one of my best seasons because I loved it so much, and I knew that it was gonna be coming to an end, so I just had to not, take anything for granted that season and just have fun and realize that, "Okay, I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore, so I need to make the best out of it while I can."
Nice. Yeah, it looks like you found that balance because you need to be able to enjoy the sport and to be having fun, but at the same time, you want to
Mhm,
have standards. You want to have expectations for yourself, and you want to be able to hit those. So finding that balance where you're enjoying the game, but also you're in a position where you can do well. It's a tricky thing to do, and it looked like you
mhm.
found it. I guess before we pivot to the your professional career, one last question on your college. You had a perfect record in taking PKs at UB. You scored 11 out of the 11 that you took, which is quite an achievement. I think that people, unless you've taken a high pressure PK, you won't really appreciate how tough that is mentally. I remember from my own experience, when it was those high stress situation where we needed to win or we were losing. I remember one instance in particular. I remember we were losing 1-0. It was a big game, and I'm stepping up to take the PK, and literally the goal shrunk and the keeper got bigger. Like that's that was my mind playing games with me. So it's really tough mentally. I think the technical aspect of it is not that hard, right? Like most players who played for some time can kick a ball from 12 yards out and put it where they want to put it. But the mental aspect of the game is really tough. So I guess talk us through your strategy as you go up to take a PK.
Yeah, so when I was younger, my dad and I would go to the park by our house, and I would have, like, 10 soccer balls. I would take those 10 soccer balls and hit them into the goal in the exact same spot, and if I missed that spot, then I would, like, run a lap of the field or something. So, I think I became comfortable with it growing up because, that's what we did. My dad would pick a spot and I had to hit it. And if I didn't, then I had to run. So it was like that was me learning to be comfortable at the spot. And then in college, I just became that person that people counted on. So I took a lot of pride in that, and I just I feel like going into a high pressure PK situation, you kinda just have to have the mindset of whatever happens, happens, because if you are like, "I need to make this," in your head, talking to yourself in your head, you're gonna mess it up, and you're gonna do something that you don't usually do, like, I don't know, try to hit it top corner, like, you're not gonna probably make that one, so going with the mindset of if I make it, I make it, then it's great, but going in with a mindset of, "I have to score this, if I don't score this, my life will end," that's gonna put even more pressure on you, so I always went with the, I hope I make it."
Wow, that's a unique perspective, and I think super insightful because it makes a lot of sense. I think the reason you struggle mentally to take the PKs is because you have so much pressure on you, and you add pressure on like, oh,
Mhm.
I have to make this, or I'm like the team down. But if you're like, hey, if I don't make it, I don't make it. You take some of that pressure off, and I think that helps a lot. So wow, really, really
Yeah.
insightful. I guess one more question on that, right? I guess your strategy was it picking a spot and going there because nowadays with video and people will be able to watch games back, right? Keepers can jump early.
Mhm.
Did you ever like take
Yeah.
that in consideration? Like, did you wait for them, or do it was like, okay, yeah, I know this spot, I'm gonna go for it. I don't care if they like guess and try to like go first.
Yeah, for the first couple PKs that I started taking, I went to the same spot. I went lower right side to the same spot every time. When later in my career, when I was still taking them, I started to change it up because I knew that keepers knew where I was going. So
Hmm.
again, like I had the mindset of, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna try something different now, and I really hope it goes in. If it doesn't, then I'll really try my best to score another goal. So I started to change it up a little bit, and it was good because then, in those high pressure games, keepers didn't know where I was going anymore, so it was good.
Yeah, no, that's super insightful. And I wish I knew this when I was taking the PKs because I think it would have helped me so much. Just taking the pressure off me and like,
Yeah,
being calm. I think that's what you need the most, being able to calm and level headed.
yeah.
I guess pivoting to your professional career, right? So after your career at UB, you signed a professional contract with, I think I'm going to butcher this name, but KR Reykjavik. How do you say that?
Reykjavik.
Reykjavik, a
Yeah.
team playing in the first division in Iceland. How did the opportunity come about, and what was it like signing that pro contract?
So I didn't know I wanted to play professional soccer until my college career ended, like, I'd never had
Wow.
intentions to, but then when it ended, I was like, "Yeah, I might wanna continue playing," and my coach at UB, he really encouraged me to do so, and he just kinda reiterated, like, "You have so much talent, it would be a dishonor to yourself if you didn't give yourself the opportunity to continue your career and, be paid to play and go overseas," so that's kinda what kickstarted it, we just created a highlight video, and then how I got the opportunity in Iceland was that one of the people that I've trained with since I was a kid, me and Nick Szabo used to train together with, Coach Matt Waddington, and he used to play professional soccer up in Canada, so one of his former teammates, was the coach of this team in Iceland, so that was my connection there. So I had my college coach, make a highlight video for me, and then I had Matt with the connection there, so he was able to send my highlight video to the coach in Iceland.
Nice, nice. And that's interesting you mentioned that point because I would think, right, for how good you were, growing up, uh, the natural like progression or thought would be, hey, I want to go pro. I want to go pro. I guess why do you think that wasn't for you? I know there's a lot of different, factors that come into it, but I guess any insights there?
Yeah, so obviously when I was a kid, I was like, "I'm gonna be a professional soccer player," and that was my dream. So when I started high school and college, I think it was more so a lack of confidence that I could continue at the next level because I have the habit of, like, comparing myself to others a lot, so if I was seeing others, like, they're definitely playing professional, like, they're good enough. I didn't have that confidence in myself on the inside as much as I should have, I guess, but, yeah, I think in college, I didn't think it was feasible for me until after, and then I realized, like, "Oh, no, I do wanna keep playing, like, how can I keep playing?" And then, my coach instilled the confidence in me that, like, I can, so yeah, it was definitely a, spontaneous decision to decide to continue my career.
Wow, wow. You must be really hard on yourself because to be starting as an eighth grader, then be starting all the years at UB, All American, all the awards you won, and to not to have, still have that doubt, I think you must have really high expectations for you. And I'm really happy that you had people around you that kind of saw the talent and made it work for you. I guess what
Mhm.
was the experience like signing that pro contract?
Um, yeah, I think it was just kind of crazy because then once I signed my contract, I was like, "Okay, this is what I wanted to do when I was a kid. This was my childhood dream, and here I am doing it." So, it was very, very rewarding to be able to sign that contract and go overseas.
Nice. How was it like living in Iceland? It's a country that one of my teammates when I was at Canisius, he's from there, and
Mhm.
really good guy, very intense, but really nice guy. But on the field, like he had the full like Viking look, the bold beard. I was like 6'2" something, so very intimidating
Yeah.
guy. But like off the field, very very nice, very reserved. So I want to visit Iceland one day. But I guess what was your experience living there, and then and recommendations for somebody looking to visit?
Yeah, I didn't ever think that I would have gone to Iceland just in general, but now that I have, I definitely wanna go back. It was an amazing country to live in. Everybody is so nice, everyone is so kind and welcoming. I think it's, like, one of the safest countries in the world, so that was good, and, it was really cold, but there were some sunny days, which was nice. Not a ton of sun, but there were some good sunny days, and it was really cool because where my club was located was in the capital city of Reykjavik, which is the biggest city in Iceland. Again, it's not a big city, but it's the biggest city there. So it was really cool. I lived right downtown. I had a nice apartment right downtown. I was able to walk or drive to training and then be able to walk anywhere else I wanted. There were tons of coffee shops, bars, restaurants, shopping, like everything was right there, which was really cool. And then my teammates were all great. They welcomed me with open arms and kinda made me feel like I was at home there, so that was helpful too.
Nice. You decided not to go back the following season. Talk to us about that decision.
Yeah, so, again, it was a really rewarding experience, and I'm really grateful and thankful that I did it, and I had that opportunity to play. I think once I, got over there and was in the thick of it, I realized that it's a really hard lifestyle for me to maintain because, it's like a 7-month season. I was there away for 7 months, and then, like, what was I gonna do in the off season and then go back? and then I'm also still finishing my master's, so I had to worry about school too when I was over there, doing online classes and stuff. So that was a tough decision to not resign and go back or even go anywhere else. But again, I think it's for my life goals and for what I, want to accomplish. I think that the lifestyle itself of playing overseas professional soccer is not doesn't match up with what, I want to do. So it was definitely a hard decision, but again, I didn't have the intentions ever of making a full career out of playing professional soccer. I wanted to do it because I was confident that I could at that point.
Nice, nice. That makes a lot of sense because it's a big sacrifice. I think sometimes
Mhm,
people look at being a pro and all the benefits that come with it, but it's a very lonely, especially when you're playing somewhere where your family doesn't
mhm.
live. It's a very lonely career, and sometimes it can be a huge sacrifice that people don't really take in consideration. Um, I guess as you look back on your whole, soccer career, right, from playing youth with the Flash, playing high school with Grand Island, UB, and then playing professionally, what would you say has been the highlight of your soccer career so far?
I think the highlight would be my 5th year season at UB just again because I just had so much gratitude and I was so thankful to be there, and I think that was a season that I just am thankful for the most.
Makes sense. On the flip side, what would you say has been the low light of your soccer career?
I don't know, I have a hard time coming up with this. Because I don't know if I necessarily had a low light. I am very grateful I never had a season-ending injury like that. Like, I had, bumps and bruises, but I never had anything that really pulled me out for the season. Um, I had an awesome college career that, I felt right at home there, and then going to Iceland obviously was a great experience for me too, just doing that on my own and, adjusting to a new country, but I don't have a low light. I really don't.
Okay, I'm glad to hear. That's really good. We're gonna pivot and go to the next segment of the pod where I ask all my guests these similar questions. So
Mhm.
for the first question, actually, before we go there, any advice for young soccer players looking, play at the highest level that you've attained? Maybe just D1 level or maybe professionally. Any
Mhm.
advice for young soccer players that maybe want to emulate what you've done?
Yeah, so I know when I was younger, and I see this in a lot of young players today too, it's like you care so much about what other people think or say or whatever, or have an opinion on what you do. And at a young age, like that can be a do or die moment. Like, oh, I don't want this person to think this of me, or I don't want them to talk about me in this way. But if that's going to hinder you from doing what you wanna do and making yourself better, then there's no way you can make it to the highest level that you want. So, my biggest piece of advice to young players is don't care what other people think of you. Just do what's best for you. If you're not on a team that's making you better, go to a new team where you're gonna get better and surround yourself with better players. Like, and then don't worry about like what your old teammates are going to say about you. You need to do what's best for you and realize like in the bigger picture what really matters, and that's ultimately like making yourself better. And I know in high school like that's a hard thing to do because you have so many external like motivators and and things that can affect how you go about day to day. But in the grand scheme of things, if you start that at a young age and just caring about yourself and making sure that you're doing what's best for you, then that's going to take you really far in life because obviously, like, I'm only 24 right now, but I've already seen like that mindset that I learned in college there was it's just making me, like better in my job now. It's going to make me better in anything that I do because I know that I can be myself and that I can do what's best for me rather than, constantly worrying about what somebody else is gonna think of me.
No, that's a great, great advice, and I think it's really hard to learn. And I think as people get older, they realize that. But people are gonna hear that early on, and to internalize that is super important. So really happy you brought that up. I guess so. Now we'll pivot to the the next segment of the pod. Who has been the best player you played against?
Best player I played against was, when I was in Iceland, there was this team that we played against called Valor, and they had, like, 9 players on that team that played on the Icelandic national team. So, can't pronounce her name, but she was a forward and she scored a lot of goals and she was really good.
I can imagine. Wow, quite the experience. 9 on 1 team is insane. Did they win the league?
Yes, they win every year.
That makes sense. On the flip side, best player you ever played against.
Or with? Wait.
Played against. Oh no, with my bad. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
asked who you played
It's
against first.
okay.
Sorry about that.
It's
Good
okay.
catch. Good catch.
Best player I ever played with, I'm gonna say Charisma Catrona. She I played with her at UB. We played against each other in high school. She went to Will South, and then we played at UB together, and then now we play FC Buffalo together.
Oh, nice. That's really dope.
Yeah,
Messi or Ronaldo?
always got to go with Messi.
Okay. It's funny. Like I've asked most of my guests this question. I haven't had anybody say Ronaldo yet. It's just funny. I was a Ronaldo fan growing up, but I've kind of converted to him. Like I like both of them, but I've come to realize
Mhm.
that I think Messi is just out of this world.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to like admit that because I was always arguing with my siblings.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you too long. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did too. Thanks again for taking the time to get on this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen and support this podcast. It is very much appreciated. Please follow the show if you don't already do so. The show can be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the rest of the other major platforms. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Much love. This show is produced by Yak Awok and original music by Scott Holmes.